Welcome back to the channel, you guys. This is Mr. and Mrs. Magic under the moon. Mrs. Magic, Mr. Magic.
I'm Bella Luna.
I'm Clyde Darkfang.
We thought that we would just do just a straight out discussion. We were actually talking yesterday about Baneful Magick and the different conceptions of what that means, some of the misconceptions and the different viewpoints. And so we wanted to kind of give you our own take of what it is. Now, granted, this is our opinion. We're not trying to say it's right or wrong. This is our opinion. Our opinion is based on years of study, though, and the philosophies that we subscribe to. Again, still not saying it's right or wrong, but in from our perspective, it is supported by the philosophies that we follow.
In most magical practices, baneful magic is looked down upon for being dark magic or evil magic or bad magic. But in reality, magical use is all about perspective and context.
So I'm going to cut you off for a second. And I don't know I'd go so far as to say in most. I would say some. In some
Well,
magical
the
practices.
biggest one that looks down upon baneful magic is Wicca.
So probably more, so maybe it is really more of the mainstream. This is Maestro. It's more of the mainstream, or I guess more popular right hand path practices that tend to look at that, which is actually a good segue into kind of, some of our perspectives on that. So I will let Clyde speak for himself. For me, I don't consider myself left hand path or right hand path. I actually consider myself crooked path. So I am a huge proponent of ascending beyond the constraints of dualities. And so I feel that denoting my path as the crooked path is really more realistic and more reflective of the non-dualistic, um, really good, really bad. Even though, don't get me wrong, left-hand path is misunderstood to mean more baneful in nature, and I know that's not what it is. Nonetheless, the way that I look at it is, and what I understand it to be, is the right hand path is more about focusing on the lighter side of things and not to let the dark side take over you in some ways to overcome the darker aspect. And in some ways, sometimes reducing, for some people, completely wiping out the darker side. Whereas left hand path really seek to recognize both the light side and the dark side. Whereas the crooked path for me looks for both the light side and the dark side to work synergistically. So neither is trying to cancel each other out. It's not even a sense of balancing, it's a sense of integrating.
I subscribed to the left hand path and followed it for a few years back when I first learned about the left hand path. I thought the left hand path was using more baneful magic
Yeah,
than
that's
anything.
that's a misconception. So yes, we're partners. Yes, we're married. Yes, we have slightly different philosophies, but that's okay because, for one, obviously we respect each other and we know each other and love each other enough to accept everything about each other. But on top of that, I think it works because the left hand path and the crooked path, they really are more similar to each other than any kind of similarities with the right hand path. The right hand path is clearly almost an opposing opposite, whereas the left hand path and the crooked path kind of look at the same thing, except for approaches it in a slightly different way. Whereas the left hand path is more about balance of the light and dark, the crooked path is more about integration of the light and dark. So, what does that have to do with Baneful Magick? So, in essence, Baneful Magick, for the most part, and it's also known as execration magic, the way the average person superficially looks at it is that it's causing harm, bad magic. But that's actually also a misconception. So, Baneful Magick or execration magic is really focusing on destruction of something, destroying something, um, causing negative energies to something, which at face value sounds like, oh, well, that means like bad stuff. Well, not necessarily.
And she actually taught me a good way to look at it, which was say you use a protection spell on like a serial killer so they never get caught. And then you turn around and curse another murderer or pedophile or whatever to make them stay in prison forever.
The protection working, generally, somebody automatically thinks that that would be a light working, a good working. And the binding or the cursing would, again, at face value, would be labeled as though that's bad magic. But if you look at the context of it, in that context, protecting a serial killer, well, that's bad stuff. Cursing or binding a rapist or a pedophile so that they never get out of jail, that's a good thing. It goes back to going beyond the constraints of duality because life is rarely ever a stark black and white. And that's why I bring up the whole releasing oneself of the constraints of duality because it's rarely ever a stark black and white. The human psyche likes to put things in nice little categories, but real life, it doesn't work that way. I've done a lot of thinking about this, and even when you look at basics of just life in general, I mean, when you look at mathematics, it's easy to say, well, it's either 1 or 2, but what's halfway between 1 and 2?
1.5.
What's halfway between 1.5 and 2?
1.75.
You keep going halfway between 1.75 and 1.5, and then you can go halfway between that and halfway between that. Then when you look at between everything that's possible between 1 and 2, suddenly you have an infinite number of possibilities just between the number 1 and 2. So the structure of our very existence, even in just plain basic mathematics, shows that there really is no such thing too much as a stark black and white. So really, and I think that I am speaking for Clyde when I say this, although I'm sure he'll cut in if I'm not, is that when we do Baneful Magick, it's not about are we doing something bad to somebody, or are we necessarily causing harm to somebody just for the sake of causing harm. It's more of, is this a justified act? It's not about is it good or bad, but is this a justified move for the situation at hand?
Actually, that sums it up.
To give you an example of something that actually has nothing to do with, again, at face value, hurting somebody, let's say that I have an addiction. Let's pretend that I don't know, I have an addiction to biting my nails. So I could actually curse my addiction. So I'm performing execration magic. I'm performing baneful magic. I am looking to destroy my habit. So yes, everything, all of those are negative. But in turn, if I destroy my habit and put that habit to a stop, then I will no longer bite my nails. My nails may not go all the way down to the edge. I won't be at risk for infections, or I will be able to start having pretty nails, or what have you. But so the point being is to if you think of baneful magic or execration magic as bad, I just challenge you, we challenge you to take a step back and really look at the core purpose of what you're trying to do. Okay? So if you want to destroy something, destroying is not always a bad thing. So pay attention to the whys, pay attention to the justification. And hopefully that approaching things in that manner will help you be more open and more receptive to performing baneful or execration magic. In the future, we are going to be showing you some baneful workings. And sometimes we will have a specific purpose for them. Sometimes we're just going to show you a generally baneful approach. How you choose to use that, though, that's going to be up to you. And so, we're not here to judge, but at the end of the day, we hope that you take into consideration things like justification and things like, is this really the proper thing to do for the situation? But really and truly, when all is said and done, only you can answer that question.
I am actually going to be doing a baneful working pretty soon, and it's called the Death Candle. This represents the end of something, the destruction of something. Because what you do is, actually, I'll leave that for the video.
Okay. So on that note, we'll see you on the next video.